We're back now with this special edition of Face the State with Governor Ned Lamont tonight. We're going to be speaking with the Department of Labor Commissioner Kurt Westby in our next half hour about unemployment. We've received quite a few specific questions that he will tackle, but we want to talk about unemployment with the governor. And so here's a common question we've been seeing. And Governor, welcome back to the program tonight. This one here is from Dennis Roy, and he wants to know, if I have been laid off since March 30th and have not received a check yet, will I be getting back checks when I do start getting a check?
Yes, it will be retroactive. I think that Kurt Westby has already sent out about half the checks or direct deposits that are retroactive. God bless them. We had 20 times the unemployment claims, 20 times more than we had during the last recession. And that's all in the space of a month or so. So folks have been going in there, working overtime. They've gone from 20 people in that department to about 70 or 80. They've got the technical fix, so we're catching up and should have all the checks out within a week.
Another question about education, this time Joe MALCARNE says, does it make sense to reopen the schools with less than 2 months left in the school year and distance learning appearing to work? Wouldn't the risks outweigh the gains?
We're going to make up our mind on that sometime before May 20th. But you're right. I'm looking at the curve. The virus is not behind us. There's still people getting infected. So you think it'd be a risky thing to get people back to school too soon. But I've heard from a lot of parents and superintendents, if there's any way to have a little bit of finality to the year, let's try it. But I'm only going to do it if it meets all of our public health standards.
And Governor, another viewer question, and I know you are a former teacher, you were a professor for a while. Couldn't the teachers just grade on a curve using the distance learning? What do you think about that?
I think what they're going to do is sort of pass-fail for this semester, because the distance learning is really important, but for different grades, it's a different curriculum. Everybody's operating a different way. I think the way the colleges are going is pass-fail, and I think it's going to be the same thing for high school and K through 8.
Let's talk a little bit about essential businesses. We get many questions about this, as do you. I know Governor JOAN BEENY sent this to us. I'd like to know from the governor why gun and liquor stores can still stay open and hairdressers, shoe stores, furnitures, and dentists are closed. How can he justify that buying liquor and a gun is more important than going to the dentist?
Yeah, I'll tell you, because we wanted to avoid those places where people congregate or they get in close personal contact. So no offense, but a dentist is a place where you have a close personal contact. You wear a mask, they wear a mask. If you're tested, those will be one of the places you get open, but subject to those requirements.
And I got a question.
I'm sorry about the... Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't interrupt, Governor. Go ahead. You can finish that thought.
Oh, just some of those other places are by appointment only, so you can limit the people that go in there, and that way you can make sure that people don't congregate and have the opportunity to infect each other.
I had a question from Reggie Hales from Hartford, who was concerned that the liquor stores are the only places open in certain neighborhoods of North Hartford, and wants to know if those hours can be reduced because it can create some problems because it's the only place to go.
Well, first of all, they're very strict about who can go in there, how many people can go in there, and the distance they've got to keep, that good, strict 6-foot distance. So maybe if you reduce the hours, that would compress the number of people in there even more.
Kathy wants to know, Kathy Austin writes, why are golf courses still open?
I guess we closed the clubs, obviously, and the clubhouses where people can congregate and rub elbows. I guess in terms of the golf courses themselves, if a husband and wife want to grab their clubs and walk around and they keep the appropriate distance, why not? It's like walking in a park or along a beach.
Some parks are open, some state parks, and I noticed the MDC has locked up some of their gates to some of the parks. I was at the Barkhamsted Reservoir the other day. You couldn't get in anywhere. Do you think these places should be open as well?
Look, I do, but if it's a town park, it's up to the local mayor. It's up to the local first selectman. But you and I, we sometimes are there walking around Elizabeth Park.
Absolutely.
I like the fact that it's open as long as people are careful, as long as people keep their distance. And I'd say in 90% of the cases I've seen that. Occasionally I go up and say, keep your distance, dude, because some of these young people are congregating a little too densely. And maybe they're not at risk of real complications, but they can get infected and they can infect somebody else.
Let's talk about the big announcement today that the Travelers Golf Championship will go on as planned, although there won't be any spectators. It'll be a televised only event. What's your reaction to that announcement?
I think it's a good decision. It's going to be in late June. They're going to be very careful about the social distancing, no crowds. I'll tell you the truth, Dennis, we were on the teleconference today with President Trump, and he was talking about getting sports going later on this summer with no crowds. Then for some reason he called on me, and fortunately I just got the news about the Travelers, so he gave the Travelers Championship a big thumbs up.
Well, that's certainly good to hear. I know that we have many more questions to take, Governor, and we will be getting to those after the break. We want to be very grateful to our advertisers who are spending money keeping the economy going during this crisis. And so we're going to take a commercial timeout. More with you in just a moment. The Governor will continue your questions. We'll be discussing how long this social distancing could go on. Will it get extended every month? And when will we be able to get a haircut? That and much more after the break. But first, how the pandemic has changed how we think about public gatherings. You can see some interesting information there on the screen. We'll be right back.